I'm not taking sides, Russia versus Ukraine. Um, I think it's a complicated issue, and I am not advocating for either side, but I am shocked and appalled. Um, I guess I don't know why I'm so shocked, but I am appalled by the wafer thin, the thin gruel that we are getting from the usual suspects, that is the Western media, on the subject of what's going on over there right now. We have, you know, our president say that Putin's decision to take aggressive action was an unprovoked attack, and that just they just let that go. I mean, nobody. Not that I follow the media, not that I'm a news junkie at all. I'm very much against that kind of thing, as I've said many, many times before. So I'm not hooked on the news, but I still things still tend to filter down to me, and I haven't heard anyone say, "Excuse me, Mr. Biden." It's not exactly unprovoked. Uh, the situation in the Donbass region, and the things that have been happening there, and some of the aggressions that have been taking place there by Ukrainian forces against the people in those two regions, which are more Russian than Ukrainian, who want to be independent, and all of the complicated issues that arise from that whole situation. There was certainly provocation. That's not justifying what Putin has done, because I think it's caused a lot of damage, and unfortunately, it seems to have led to a loss of a lot of life, including innocent life, which is awful. So Putin and the Russians have to answer for that, for their side of things, for the things that they've done that are not good. But to say that it was an unprovoked attack is thoroughly uh, asinine. It is shows an illiteracy, historical illiteracy, um, and it has to be. I'll tell you what though, and I'm going to read a bit of this article from George Weigel, who writes for firstthings.com. First Things is a Catholic journal that has some good information, has presents um, some worthwhile material. And long ago, I was a subscriber, back when it was in print in the 90s, when Father Newhouse was still alive and still in charge, and I was a big fan at the time. But unfortunately, it is a journal that has long been infected with neocon inclinations, uh, and it's very much down with the military-industrial complex, and you know, at the time, Weigel, who is a scholar in his own right. I mean, he wrote a book about John Paul II that was well researched, and I'm not taking anything away from his scholarship and his knowledge base or anything like that. Given those things, given that the guy's not dumb, uh, I find this article to be even less excusable, because he must know that by being just this flack for the NATO party line, he is not telling the whole truth, and yet he's doing it anyway. But then again, Weigel was a big fan and proponent and cheerleader for the disastrous Iraq War of 03-04. So no real surprise here, except you kind of hope that things, I don't know, that people will change, mature with time or recognize their errors. But I guess, when you grow up, when you're around the same people and you hang out in the same crowd and you reinforce one another's beliefs, including your bad beliefs, the bad beliefs that you all share, then that has the effect of insulating you even more. Anyway, let me just read a bit of this article. For months now, the world press has described Russian troop deployments along Ukraine's borders as spearheads of a possible invasion. The truth, however, is that Russia invaded Ukraine 7 years ago when it annexed Crimea and Russian little green men, I don't know what that means, ignited a war in eastern Ukraine that has taken over 14,000 lives and displaced over 1 million people. Okay, putting all of the blame, again, on Russia and the annexation of Crimea, again, painting things as if things were just that so black and white. And this is before, again, this article was written when tensions were mounting, but before the actual what do we call it? Aggression, attack, invasion. So this is how he starts out. Whatever the current military developments, a Russian invasion of Ukraine has not been imminent. The invasion is ongoing. Well, given that there are disputes about the land and just what part of what land belongs to whom, and who wishes to be independent from Ukraine versus who wishes to be a proud Ukrainian, and all of those issues that really make this that make the entire situation in the Donbass region so complicated, and in Crimea and elsewhere. And again, I'm not a geopolitical scholar myself. I didn't have to do a whole lot of reading to figure this out, though. I mean, it's complex, but it's not that hard to understand that it's complex. And yet this Weigel here is just bloviating about Russia's bad, Putin's bad, evil, mean Russians invading and attacking a sovereign nation of Ukraine, where it just as if this were so simple as a sovereign nation being attacked by another nation, right? So he goes on to bloviate. He gives off this vibe of being someone who just thinks he knows everything and who will not stand to be contradicted. I don't, when I read his words, it becomes kind of personal. I don't like this man. The first fact: this is a Russian crisis, not a Ukraine crisis. Ukraine did not create this crisis. The United States did not create it. Neither did NATO. See, he's got to be. Why is he shilling? He's a faithful Catholic. Why is he shilling for NATO? Why is he shilling for an international organization that's got a lot of blood on its hands, and that is deeply, deeply corrupt? Why is he just speaking of them as if the claim that NATO threatens Russia is a big lie that obfuscates the security realities in Central and Eastern Europe? Okay. Now, it's true that the countries that were former Soviet satellites, like Poland and the Czech Republic and Slovakia, Hungary, and the Baltic states, joined NATO because they fear Russia, not because they intend to invade Russia. Well, it's true that these countries don't have a great a great history with Russia, particularly during the years of the Soviet Union when they were basically vassal states. So, so yeah, of course, of course, there's that. But he goes on to say this artificially inflated crisis aimed at Ukraine's destabilization and subjugation is one expression of Putin's determination to reverse history's verdict in the Cold War. History's verdict in the Cold War. The hell does that mean? I mean, yeah, the Soviet Union fell. And Putin was a KGB man when the Soviet Union was around. So this is certainly not me saying Putin's a good guy or anything like that. But again, Putin has been quite clear about this for 20 years. Quite clear about what? That he wants to reverse the Cold War? I have not gotten that impression. Putin, the old KGB apparatchik, is bent on overturning the victory of imperfect democracies over pluperfect tyrannies. All right, points for vocabulary there. Blah 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 blah. Okay, and the ongoing Russian aggression in Ukraine is underwritten by a false rendition of history, including Christian history. Putin's claim that Ukraine is not a real country. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the claim that the Russian advocates who say that Ukraine doesn't really exist, that it's not a real country, and that Putin probably believes that, along with others. But Russian aggression in Ukraine targets everyone, including children. Russia's hybrid war against Ukrainian democracy has included some 1,000 fake bomb threats that have emptied schools throughout Ukraine throughout the beginning of the year. 10 years higher than the rate of fake bomb threats in 2020 and 2021. Where do we find in here anything about the apparent shelling of the Donbass region by Ukrainian forces and the casualties that have been exacted there, including civilians, including women and children? Where do we hear about that here? Nowhere. In fact, suddenly we've come to an end of Mr. Weigel's article, and there he sits very pompously. But this is all he has to say. NATO good, Putin bad. No effort to elucidate the dimensions of the conflict. I don't want to use the word nuance because a lot of irritating people talk about nuance. But just the complexities of this situation, that there has been hostility, and there's obviously not a great history with Russia, particularly during the time of the Soviet Union, and there was the Holodomor, which I know some Russian nationalists deny happened, but I don't deny that it happened. I believe that it happened. And that killed a bunch of innocent people, millions of people, but that was in the 20s or 30s. In more recent years, we don't hear anything about Ukraine's aggression against these breakaway regions that want to be independent, that are more Russian in orientation than Ukrainian. We don't hear anything about the Azov battalion, this neo-Nazi battalion that has lived and thrived and has been funded by Western sources. That is a big part of Ukraine's political makeup. And indeed, Putin himself said that he wanted to go on an effort of denazification of Ukraine, because the Azov battalion has played a now. Of course, that's a PR way of talking about it, but if if the West isn't going to draw attention to the reality of the Azov battalion, and if the West isn't going to draw attention to NATO's corruption and some of the dirty dealings that have been going on between Western countries and the Ukraine, including those involving our current administration, if that's not going to be talked about by dishonest ideologues like George Weigel, then then I can understand why someone arguing for the other side would bring it up. Anyway, it should be. I hope I've made myself clear here that I am not taking one side or the other. I just think that articles like this and the entirety of the Western media establishment is so obviously not telling us the whole truth about what's going on over there, what has been going on over there, because they are fundamentally dishonest, and because they are fundamentally in the pockets of the political establishment, and that's the way it is. So take what they have to say. In fact, don't take it at all. I would say don't read it. Don't read what they have to say at all. Don't watch their news broadcasts, and don't read them, because they are thoroughly compromised, as has been demonstrated time and time and time again. And they lied to us for 2 years straight about all kinds of crap that I always saw through. I saw through it from March to 2020 onward, but a lot of y'all were taken in, but not me. And now they're trying to say that that this is all just Putin's unprovoked attack on Ukraine. That's what it all boils down to here. Again, you've got to be smarter than that. You've got to understand that these people who lied to you over and over again, they're still lying to you. Don't trust them. I'm not saying trust Putin. Just don't trust the Western political and media establishment. All right, that's all I've got to say. Thanks for watching.